Welcome everybody to today's meetup at Kanban New Zealand. And we have as a topic fit for purpose, the fit for purpose framework. And I have put in there that it's actually a decision framework and not a process framework like most agile methodologies. And we have Anya, she's the product manager of the Kanban Maturity Model, straight from David Anderson School of Management. Welcome, Anya. And she's already last month to tell us more about the Kanban Maturity Model. And you mentioned in the talk that fit for purpose is one of your favorite topics in there, because if you are delivering fit for purpose products and services, that brings you to maturity level 4 of an organization. And I think there is also the new Fit for Purpose book coming up soon. I think it's going to be published soon.
I hope so.
Yeah. So I think we heard about all of that. How do you make sure that your products and services are actually fit for purpose for the customers? And we are at Kanban New Zealand here. We also have Kanban Australia here. And I think Dan has just disappeared. Are you there?
Yeah, hey Silke. Yes, I've got the Melbourne and Sydney Kanban or limited web groups joining as well.
Yep, awesome. And we are recording this, and we have a Kanban New Zealand YouTube channel. And if you're interested, and if you think there is actually more in Kanban that you thought there might be some really cool talks in there. So go on there and you will find most of the events we had in the past with quite some cool international speakers like Anya today. Anya, over to you.
Thank you very much. So hello, everyone. Good evening to most of you, but good morning also to Europe, because I see some European names, not faces. So my name is Anya. Thank you, Silke, for introduction. I skipped the normal intro part because I don't want to take your time. Right now, I'm working, as Silke said, as product manager for Kanban Maturity Model, but also previous time I said that this is always my big coming out, yeah, because I'm working for Kanban, but my big love, and I would say that the first place in my heart is occupied by Fit for Purpose. And actually, why is it very close to me? Because for my whole life, I work this way or another with customers, and I have this direct contact with customers. And what Fit for Purpose helps you with is understanding what your customer, first of all, who is your customer, because it's not that obvious many times. And second, what to make what to do to make sure that your customer is satisfied. So this is what we are going to talk about today. We'll just scratch the topic. I would like to show you some concepts, not all of the concepts from Fit for Purpose framework, but some of them. Maybe you'll be interested in them. If you want to learn more, you can then check out David Jenderson's School of Management YouTube. We also have some videos out down there, and they dig deeper in this topic. And I'm also delivering some other webinars which are more which go into more details about Fit for Purpose. So I'll let you know at the end where to find them. So the first question that you sometimes may ask yourself, so how do you know why your customer selects you and your products or services? And then how do you know whether a change to a product or service will represent an improvement? And how do you select new features, functions, and costs of services? So these are the questions that Fit for Purpose answers, but not only. And as I said, I represent David Jenderson's School of Management. So the essence of our brand is no wishful thinking. Everything what you see here and what you will see in any type of webinar, any type of knowledge sharing from us is pragmatic, which means that we want you to take it and start doing from the next Monday or next Friday, if you want to start to do it tomorrow. And this is actionable and this is evidence-based, which means that it was already tested. So it's not the theory that we are teaching, it's not the theory that we are sharing. It was already taken, tested on a different levels of advancement by many different trainers, by many different consultants around the world. So now I would like to give you some flavor of Fit for Purpose, and one of the very basic Fit for Purpose techniques that you can start using like seriously tomorrow. So this will be kind of an exercise that will start now and will finish later in this webinar. So I have the question to you. Why are you here? So please take half a minute. Please write down on a paper or maybe somewhere in your notes up to 3 reasons. So 1 to 3 reasons or objectives you had coming here. And this may be different objectives, something that really brought you here, your real genuine objectives. Like, I didn't have any other idea for spending my evening, or I want to learn more about Fit-for-purpose, or I am just curious, or I like Kanban New Zealand webinars and I wanted to be here. So anything that brought you here, please write it down on a paper or in the notes, and we'll come back to it later. And why am I asking about it? Because today you are my customers. So if we had training, if I'm in the training with you, and this is a training which is longer than just half an hour, then I would ask you the same questions, and I would ask you to share these questions. I would ask you to share these reasons with me, because you are my customers, and I want my product to be fit for purpose for your needs. Later, I will show you how to use these 3 questions to better understand your customers and to create kind of a matrix which will tell you how you should approach different segments of your market and how to build the market segments based on these questions. So the agenda for today will cover 3 big topics. So what are the key elements of a successful product, how to segment your customers, and how to learn your customers why. And what I am going to show you is described in the book Fit-for-purpose. This is a book by David Anderson and Alexei Zhagov. And actually, Silke told that we are expecting the 3rd edition of this book, which is true. But we are also expecting the 2nd part of this book, which will cover a bit more topics that are just highlighted in this 3rd part of the book. The first part of the book, and we are going to talk about, not David and Alexei are going to talk more about them in the 2nd part of Fit-for-purpose. So if you want to learn more, just grab this book and read it. And actually, this is the slide that I added very last moment because this webinar was introduced as Kanban Fit-for-purpose, which is not entirely the name of the framework because the framework is just fit for purpose. But if you had a chance to attend the previous webinar, you probably remember this, this slide and this poster. And this poster presents in a visual way the 7 levels of the maturity, Kanban Maturity Model. So if you look at this poster, on the bottom of it, there is a slice of pizza with number 3. And the number 3 is maturity level 3, which is named fit for purpose. And this is how the fit for purpose framework matches to Kanban. So at the maturity level 3, we observe always happy customers. So fit for purpose framework is one of the basic methods, one of the basic techniques that you can use to take your organization from these lower maturity levels like 0, 1, 2 to the higher maturity levels, which is 3 and then 4, 5, and 6. So if you have more questions about this link between fit for purpose and Kanban, we can cover it later in the Q&A. So let's start with the first part of this webinar, which are 3 components of fitness for purpose. And I'm going to show you elements of the poster. And actually, I have this poster here on the wall down there. So you can print out this poster, you can put it on your wall and you can use it. Feel free to do it. I will show you the links later. So now we are going to focus on the first part of the poster, so 3 components of product or service. And actually, I had really hard time because previously this webinar and this presentation was based on pizza. But after one of the webinars, we received feedback that pizza is everywhere. We are sick of pizza, no more pizza anymore. So I had to replace all slides with pizza with slides with ice cream, which I promised you. And my hard times was because I had to, scroll over a few hundreds of ice cream pictures in iStock. And I love ice cream. And the more I scroll over them, the more hungry I was for the ice cream. So it was a challenge for me. But I was trying to pick the best ice cream pictures for you. So the 3 elements of the fitness for purpose of the product or service, which is fit for purpose. The first is design. So this is the what. And if we talk about ice cream as a product, the design may cover the colors of ice cream, the way how it will be served. Is it going to be served in the waffle or maybe in the cup? Is it going to have something on the top, or maybe it's just a plain ice cream? So this is how we describe our product or service. The second element is implementation. So the how. So we have our design, and now we try to make this product, the service live. So this is how we take our design and how we make the real product out of it. The third element is service delivery. So this is customer's experience of consumption. So we have the 3 elements: design, implementation, and service delivery. And they still may be perfect in our opinion, but this is the customer who determines the fitness for purpose based on their needs and expectations. And I normally give you the example of different tastes of ice cream. And you may see that when you go into the restaurant, you see different tastes of ice cream. And the very basics are strawberry, normally the cream, chocolate, maybe some other fruit taste. And you still may have a customer who is more fancy, more sophisticated, and this customer would like to try something different. So if we serve only this basic taste of the ice cream, although our product has perfect design, perfect implementation, and maybe even the perfect service delivery, it still may not be fit for our customer purpose. So this is our customer who determines the fitness for purpose based on the needs and expectations. But now, how to learn what are the needs and expectations of our customers, especially when we start the business? So now imagine a situation that we have a family. This family decided to, they're on the trip in Italy, and they decided to stop and buy gelato. So there are 2 kids, still pretty young, and they want the gelato immediately. So they just stop, they buy gelato, takeaway gelato. So from their perspective, delivery time should be instant. So gelato should be delivered almost the same moment when they order it. Maybe they can spend some time in a queue, but not too long, because kids are normally very impatient. Then we may look at the quality of the product. So the functional quality will be, in this case, the taste of gelato. So they are looking at the strawberry and chocolate gelato, maybe not ice cream, maybe not with raisins. So if there is strawberry or chocolate gelato, they are satisfied because this product will fit their purpose. And from non-functional quality perspective, so how this is served, it's not that important to children. So they can just take this gelato in waffles and they will be happy. And it doesn't have to be, super pretty, because what's the most important is that this is strawberry, this is chocolate, and this is tasty for children, and it's delivered immediately. Now imagine we have few families on this trip. This family is one of them. And in the evening, the same two adults, this time without children, decide to go for a dinner with their friends. And for dessert, they order also the ice cream. But this time, their needs is different. Because in terms of delivery time, they can really wait. They are sitting in the restaurant, they are enjoying their time, adults' time, no children, no screaming. So they can wait, they can spend this time talking and enjoying their company. Then from the functional quality perspective, it should be perfect. So they expect something which is very tasty. They expect something for what they pay much higher amount of money than they paid for gelato for their children. And then from the non-functional quality perspective, so how it was served, they expect fancy design, they expect beautiful implementation of this design. And these are still the same parents. So you have the same two adults, which during the day buy gelato for their children. And in the evening, they buy gelato, they buy ice cream for themselves. So this will be important for us when we look at the market segmentation. Because the market segmentation that you did should be done based on the purpose, not based on the demographics. And this is the lower part of our poster. And if we think about fit-for-purpose framework, it's really very nicely integrated with some other methods that you may have seen, like OKR, like balance scorecard, or maybe NPS, which we are going to cover a bit later. But it's also very nicely integrated with the concept of personas. So just to remind you, the persona is a description of an archetypal representative of a market, audience, product, or service user segment. So this is the definition, and now what it means. So we had these two adults, and these two adults are different personas from our fit-for-purpose framework perspective. So on one hand, they are parents who buy ice cream for their children during the day. On the other hand, they are two adults which meet with their friends in the evening. So after the dinner, they want to order a nice, very fancy presented and delivered ice cream. So when you segment your market, don't do it by demographical categories, because if you look at the demographics, these two adults are still the same adults. Yes, so they are still like 30 or mid 30. They are representing maybe the same company or two different companies. Looking from where they live in the same place, no matter whether they buy gelato for their children or they buy ice cream for their friends. But you could see that from the purpose perspective, their purpose was completely different. Delivery time was different, quality was different. So that's why we need to segment by purpose, not by demographical categories. So there are two different you who are choosing the product. Apologies. And apologies for my voice. I'm still trying to recover from my illness. So don't treat your market homogeneous. Instead, identify your market segments by customer purpose. And how to start with building personas. So first, create personas for ice cream buyers. And these personas should reflect goal, purpose, or objective of an ice cream buyer. And then design a product for just one persona. But do it in this way that may be compelling for one person, but should be also attractive for many people who share similar goals or similar purposes. And then build narratives which will tell you more about these personas. So I remember when I created the personas for my training company with my colleague. So what we do, we just started with a flip chart. We put this flip chart, in the middle of the room, and we started to describe people who may be interested in our class. So first, and I can give you some questions that you can start with, which were really helpful for me. So the first question, who is he, who is she? And it may help you to give this person a real name. So we thought about our colleagues, we thought about our managers, we thought about people who we know, and we use these people real names to describe the persona. So one of my colleagues, who was a Scrum Master, was one of the personas for us. So we gave her a name, let's say Kate, and then we decided the age of this person. So is she young? Maybe she's old. Does it even matter for us? Where does he or she lives? Is it important for us? Because when you are on the trip in Italy, but normally you live in US or you live in Australia, maybe it's not important where you live on a daily basis. But if you deliver a product locally, then it may be important whether this person lives in the city center or maybe somewhere in the village next to the city. What is she doing? What is her job? Again, is it relevant for building our persona? What is he or she like? Then use some scenarios to describe the ritual. So what the normal day of this persona looks, what they are doing when they wake up, what they are doing when they are at work. Is it important for us what they are doing after work? Do we deliver the product or service that covers what they do at work or what they do after work? Or maybe both. I will come back to this pizza example, but if they order pizza, sometimes you may order pizza sitting at work for your colleagues. Sometimes you may order pizza for your family, again, in the evening. So you are still the same person, but ordering pizza for two different reasons. And the important part, which is what is his or her pain? So what are the problems which brought this person to you? And how you can help to solve these problems? What are the benefits for this persona to cooperate with you and with your company? Of course, this list of questions is not exhaustive, but if you don't know where to start, you can start with these questions. It may be also useful if you have this talent to draw a picture of this persona or just put a photograph out there. So to summarize this part, your customers choose intuitively by a few criteria. So when your customer stop by and they want to buy a gelato from you, they don't make, very long and detailed analysis of the taste and of the purpose of the reason why they want to buy gelato. They just want to buy gelato because maybe it's hot or maybe their children want to eat it in this particular moment. So normally customers choose intuitively, but we as business and we as service providers, as product builders, we need to have a system to understand how customers choose us. And to understand it, we need to know our customer why, because it will help us to build our criteria for creating the strategy, how we enter the market, and then how we improve our product to meet the market purpose. So now how to know our customers why. And this takes us to the topic actually of this presentation. So don't fly blind, don't try to guess. Ask your customers why they buy from you. And we have two ways of understanding our customers why. So the first one are humans and narratives, and we call it flying visually. So these are the stories that people tell us. This is something what we may read in the newspaper. This is something what we read in the internet. This is something what we can read on the forums where people share their opinion about the other products. So we should collect the narratives that people give us, our customer give us, or maybe if we just start, we may also look at our competition and we may look around and hear what people tell about the other products. And then we may use surveys and data. So this is flying by instruments. Just for a second. So to fly by instrument, we use the very basic instrument, which is fit-for-purpose card. And I would like to focus on this fit-for-purpose class later in this webinar. So the role which is maybe not very valued, but which is super important in any company, is the customer-facing staff. Because this is customer-facing staff who knows the story of your customers. I remember working in the cafe, and I remember people who came to this cafe. And I knew some of them because they came every day. They told me the stories about themselves, about their families. Every day they ordered the same. So I didn't even have to ask them what they want to buy because they expected me to know what they want. And I remember that one day I had to change the cafe that I worked in because it was just the chain of the cafes. So I came for the change for another colleague. And there was an elder gentleman. He came into the cafe and I asked him, what can I serve to you? And he said, ask your colleague. She knows what I want. Yeah. So he didn't even want to tell me what he wants. He expected me to know what he wants because he ordered the same things every day. And there are some people who just came by and they order the same, or they order different things, or maybe there are some people who just came only once and never come back. But you may also see some other people who will come to you and who will tell you their story. And this is the example of the restaurant or example of a cafe. But if you have any other kind of business and you have your frontline staff sitting on the phone and talking to your vendors or talking to your customers, they really listen to these people on the other side. Again, I remember sitting on the phones for 2 years. I had many different people on the other side. Even one guy from the Netherlands who called me like every single week because we delayed the payments to him, not intentionally, because of some issues with invoicing. So he called me every single week. He was super patient. He was super nice. And I knew the whole story about his life and about his name. His name was Barry, by the way. And he received his name because their parents' dog name was Barry. So they called him Barry because they loved their dog who passed away. So these are the stories that you can hear from your customers, and these are the stories that you should start collecting. And when you think about your customer-facing stuff, many times these people change pretty frequently. And when they leave your company, they take the customer stories with them. So you should find a way to capture these customer stories and directly involve the customer-facing staff in defining the customer fitness criteria. And now, flying by instrument, so fit-for-purpose card. Do you remember the questions that we started with? So it was the question, what is your purpose for being here? Why you have came here? And we used this question as the first question out of 3 in our fit-for-purpose card. So now I would like to teach you how to design this fit-for-purpose card and how to start using it to understand your customers. So as you can see on this picture of the example of fit-for-purpose card, this example comes from Alexei Zhegov, and this is what he designed and what he used for his training business. So you will see here some examples from training company. So the first question, tell us why you choose our offering. Select up to 3 reasons or objectives you had choosing it. So why 3? Because 3 normally takes us 1, 2, or 3 reasons. They normally give us some answer about the very basic purpose. So if you ask people to write up to 10, it may be too much, and you may learn about very secondary reasons. 1, 2, or 3 normally helps you to capture the main objective. Then the second question, for each of the reasons or objectives in question 1, please indicate how fit for purpose you found our service in fulfilling your expectation. And please score each reason or objective separately using the following scale from 0 to 5. And we'll cover the scale in a moment. So now we ask people for each of the reasons. So we don't give them the reasons, we ask them to provide the reason. And now we ask them to score each of these reasons on the scale from 0 to 5. And the question 3, tell us why you gave the score in question 2. And the score from 0 to 5, we call net fitness score. So this is our question number 2. And if we look from the bottom, 0 means that the product is not fit at all for the purpose. So you think about your purpose, why you are here, and you decide, does it fit or maybe it doesn't? And if it doesn't at all, it means that you should give 0. Then 1, I got some values, but most of my needs are unmet. 2, significant amount of expectations were unmet. 3, product matched most of my expectations with some reservation, so there is still some place for improvement. 4, product matched my expectations and it matched all of my expectations. And 5, product exceeded my expectations. So if we look at it from the positive negative perspective, 4 and 5 is positive score, 3 is neutral, 0, 1, 2 is negative score. But if we look only at this net fitness score, we may realize that our net fitness score is not fit for purpose if the criteria for fit for purpose is to learn more about our customers. So let's look at 2 situations. If you try to combine the results, you may have situation that you have 50% of positive answers, 50% of negative answers, 0% of neutral answers. In situation 2, you have 0% positive, negative, 100% neutral. So your net fitness score in both situations is 0. But these both situations call for very, very different actions. Because if you have 10 answers positive, 10 answers negative, this is a different situation when you have 20 answers which are neutral. So that's why we don't give the net value, we always give the triple. So percent of positive answers, percent of neutral answers, and percent of negative answers. So don't aggregate, always use the triple to see what is the ratio of positive to neutral to negative. And now, how to do this scoring. So just to remind the questions from the Fit for Purpose card. The first question is, what is your purpose? The second question, assess fitness for each purpose using taxonomy from 0 to 5, from 0 to 5. And the third question is, tell us why. And now something very tangible. So you remember I showed you the card from Alexei, and here are the results that he gathered. So first he took all of these cards. He looked at the purpose that people gave, and he gathered each of these purposes in the bigger categories, which we called here the segments. And these were the categories that were similar. And he found 4 major segments by purpose of the customer. The first one was pragmatic managers. The second one, professional development. The third one, certification. And the fourth one, office politics. So pragmatic managers are these who came to the class, maybe the product managers, maybe the product owners, and they wanted to learn more about how to design the product. Then professional development, these are people who just want to learn more. Certification, this is the person, actually only one, who looked for the certificate. And the office politics, this was the collection of some minor unrelated reasons, which were not normally met by this class that he provided. And how to read this box here? You can see on the top plus, 0, minus, and the hashtag. So plus are positive answers, 0 neutral, minus negative answers, and hashtag gives you the number of the answers in this particular segment. And when he analyzed these results, and he analyzed the results in the context of his business, he saw that actually the pragmatic managers is the segment that they wanted to invest. So this is the strategic target segment. The second and the third group, so professional development, certification, these are the secondary segments, but they are okay. We may want to have them, but we shouldn't overserve them. And the fourth one, office politics, this is the segment that we wouldn't like to see in our class, that would like to switch off. And to help yourself with this, you can use this matrix. And actually, it doesn't have the name yet, but a few days ago, I talked to David about this matrix. And the working name for it is A to Z matrix, which is Anderson to Żegław matrix. So maybe it will be the name. I said that each good matrix should have a name, so it will be probably A to Z matrix. And horizontally on this matrix, you see the fitness level. So unsatisfactory, mediocre, and satisfactory. Vertically, you can see the market segment. So is it our target or is it not our target? And looking then on the crossing of the fields on this matrix, you may want to decide, you may want to use this matrix to decide what to do with your clients. So on the top right, we have a fitness level, which is satisfactory, and this is our target. So we should protect, encourage, and grow this market segment. Then our target again, but mediocre service delivery, we should look for improvements. And if we have unsatisfactory fitness level, but we still consider this market segment as our target, we should either try to improve it, or maybe we should reconsider this segment as our target segment, because maybe they are not. Then looking at the bottom, again, from the right, we don't consider this market segment as our target, but for some reason we satisfy this market segment. So maybe we should, again, modify the strategy, reconsider this market segment as our target. So maybe we should improve them, or we should take them higher on the scale. Then if this is not our target and the fitness level is mediocre or unsatisfactory, we should probably try to switch off this market segment and actively discourage these people to come to buy our service or our product. And now how to turn it into action. So you remember we had 4 market segments for Alexei training company. Pragmatic managers, they were satisfied from the product and they are the target. So they land in this first section, which we should protect and which we should grow. Certification and professional development. They are our secondary target. We satisfy people who came for the certification, so we should just grow and protect them. Professional development, people were not that satisfied, so we should seek for improvements for them. And office politics, they were not satisfied, they are not our target, so we should try to switch them off and discourage from buying our service and product. And there are some benefits of fit-for-purpose cards, some tangible and intangible benefits. So the tangible benefits is that we don't ask about recommending the class, in this particular case, to the teammates or colleagues. So there are some methods, some techniques which ask you the question how likely you would recommend this product, this service to your colleagues. Because even if we have this answer, it's not very actionable, because what it will tell to us if someone says, yes, I recommend or I don't recommend, what can we do with this information? Even in the classes that we do at School of Management, we had people who were very satisfied with the product that we delivered. But if we asked them, are you going to recommend this product to your colleagues? They said no. And then why not? Because I think that my colleagues don't need this particular class. So if you don't ask them why you have been here, how we satisfied your needs, then having only the answer, I wouldn't recommend this class to my colleagues, you could think that your product didn't satisfy the need of your customer. So on one hand, yes, your product satisfied the need of this customer. On the other hand, this customer doesn't see the need to recommend this product to the colleagues because he or she thinks that this product will not satisfy the needs of their colleagues. We don't ask them to speculate about their future behaviors. So again, if you ask, would you recommend this product? This is the speculation about the future. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. And we don't even have the feedback loop to check whether they did it. If you ask people, what is your purpose for being here? And did we satisfy your purpose? You ask about the real experience. You don't ask them to speculate, you ask them to give you the real experience. Customers can choose out of 6 levels, and each of these levels is explicitly defined, which means that we don't ask them, now please give us the rate on scale from 0 to 5, but we ask them, please give us the score, and we tell them what each level means. Because if we give the score from, say, 1 to 10, with no explanation what is 1, what is 5, what is 10, then my 5 may be your 7, or my 5 may be your 3. So that's why anytime you design any kind of score, you should clearly say what this score means, what this level means. 6 levels are psychologically optimal for people to give meaningful answer. And I don't have the source of this research right now. I can look for it, but this was tested that people feel okay up to 6 or up to 7. If they see more than 6 or 7, their brain already starts to feel lost. So up to 6 is optimal. And question 3, which we really like, this is the question that gives you the narratives. So when people give you the purpose, when people give you the score, then in question 3, they give you the reasoning and they give you the narrative. So this is a flying visual part. If they don't have a chance to talk to you, they can always write why you give the score in question 2. And it helps you to better understand their purpose and then to create this market segments. And then some intangible benefits of Fit-for-purpose card. And all of this come from my experience of using this card. So people seem to be more honest. Because previously I had the surveys which asked, how did you like the class? Or what do you think about the trainer? And these questions were very personal, and sometimes I had the impression that people didn't want to offend me or didn't want me to feel bad. And now I just ask them about their purpose. I don't ask them what they think about me. I ask them how well I satisfied their purpose. And even if they give me 0 or 1, this is still very meaningful information for me, because maybe they are not my market segment, or if I consider them as market segment, I should improve my product. So yeah, even if you receive the rating, which is very low, you can still take info from it. Even if you receive the card where there is only a purpose with no rating, you can still take some information from it. So I had also a situation that I have people in the workshop and they fill in the card at the beginning with their purpose, and then in the middle of the workshop, they left. So they didn't have a chance to fill in the score and to fill in the question 3. But when I look at their Fit-for-purpose cards, I understood why they left, because this workshop was just not for them. I didn't need their purpose at all. People tend to comment the rating because it's much easier than to do it in the standard surveys. Because again, you don't ask about the opinion, about something, about someone. You ask, why do you think I didn't meet your purpose? Or why do you think I met your purpose? And finally, you don't feel bad if you receive 0 or 1. So now I would like to ask you to finalize your Fit-for-purpose card. So at the beginning, you wrote this 1, 2, or 3 purposes. Please now use this rate from 0 to 5 to rate how well this webinar met your purpose. And in question 3, please try to write some narrative about your purpose and the score in question 2. So let's spend now 1 or 2 minutes on it. And if you want to share this info with me, I will be more than grateful, because we collect this information. They are very useful for us. This is my email. I will come back to it later. And now it's your time for fit-for-purpose cards.
Thanks, Anya, for keeping up with your voice.
Yes, I made it. I was afraid, but I made it.
I could see it wasn't easy.
It could be much worse. Okay, and I will look at the charts. Maybe there are some questions. Let me scroll for it. Okay, so I will move to this slide right now. So here's my email, anna@mavius.com. For more information about Fit-for-purpose, particularly, you can look at fitterforpurpose.com or at djaa.com. So you can download this poster and you can print it out. What else? I'm looking at the chat, and maybe Daniel, you could, because you wrote here your experience with using this card, so maybe you could share it with us. What do you think?
Yes, I've actually found it quite useful, and surprisingly, yeah, like you said, the zeros and ones are actually opportunities that you might not have picked up, even though you didn't realize there might be you didn't realize there was a target market there. And it's something that you can now consider and think about, oh, okay, I haven't served those up until now. I didn't even think to serve that. There's a potential here. So where I think it's really useful is probably not so much just in the, getting the high marks. That's kind of good. But I think, sometimes getting the neutrals and the negatives, that's where, some real value is there with your products and services. And I was surprised when I first started doing this that I'd see that kind of outcome. And yeah, you do see it a bit, which is really refreshing.
Yeah, I totally agree that I was surprised. Was my first comment too. Because I first experienced this Fit-for-purpose card when I was taught Kanban by Paul Klipp. He gave us this card. And then I thought, okay, I will try to use it for my workshop at my previous company. I didn't expect, like huge results, but it was huge. Like seriously, the results were awesome. And I really started to use it every time, and I encourage also other people to start using it. So yes, they still used the NPS, but they started to add also Fit-for-purpose question to it, and it really helped us. Joseph, you have a question?
Yeah, Fiona, I'm in New Zealand and it's late at night. Thank you very much. I'm definitely going to start using these. I was wondering if you could, I think I missed the bit where you explained the numbers on the box scores into actions. How is that significant?
Okay. So you mean the triple, right?
Where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and it has like mediocre fitness level. The F.
Okay. So maybe I will start
turning F4P box scores into action slide. I think. Yeah.
Okay. I will share it once again, so we know what we are talking about. This one?
Yes.
Okay. So this is because you may use this Fit-for-purpose card on different levels. So the very basic level is just you use this card to understand your customer's purpose, and that's it. Yeah. So you want to learn more about these customers. then you, let me scroll. Oh, then the second level of using this is when you really start analyzing the results. And for this, of course, you need a bit more time spent, because you may need to see, what is the ratio, it's positive to neutral to negative. And the third level, which takes the most time, is that you need to go through all of your customer purposes. And if you have a lot of them, it takes time simply. So what we, as I said, we do this fit for purpose. We don't call it survey. We just use the fit for purpose card for our webinars. We use it for our classes. So if we have like 200 people in the webinar, not all of them provide us with the results, but normally we have 70 to 100 answers after each of the webinars. So it requires time to analyze each of them, because we always need to do it manually. You need to read all of these reasons and you need to segment them. So you read these reasons, then you try to cluster the reason into segments. So using this webinars example, the segments that we see is that people come for more knowledge. Yeah? So this is one of the segments for our webinars. Or people, we normally talk about Kanban, so I would like to learn more about Kanban. So learning more about Kanban and learning more generally are two different segments. Then we also have the segment at each of the webinars, which says, I just like your webinars, yeah, and I always come here. So these are kind of fanboys that come, etc., etc. So you need to read through all of these purposes and segment them and cluster them and create these segments. And then when you have these segments, the fourth step in terms of how you can really turn it to action is this matrix. So now you have your segments, and for each of the segments, you use the triple again. So we have the segment which says, I would like to learn something more. And for this segment, we may have a triple like 60% to 20% to 20%. Yeah. So 60 positive, 20 neutral, 20 negative. And what does it mean? That this is our target segment. So it's on the upper half. And then it's not totally satisfied segment, because we still see this 40% of people who are neutral or negative. So I would put them somewhere in mediocre. So this is our target segment, but not totally satisfied. So this is our box number 2. And the advice for this box number 2 is seek improvements. So you use this matrix to turn, to look at your product more strategically. So you already know your purpose, you know your customer segments, and this matrix here tells you what to do.
I gathered that.
So
Why does it have the, so because we have numbers on the cards, and there's a method to sort of extract meaning from those numbers. I was wondering if there was a reason that there were numbers on these segments.
No, actually no.
Okay.
No, it just helps to visualize it when you don't need to write the description. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So when we use it, we just know what is 1, what is 2, what is 3.
Okay, so you select customers in segment 1, or gotcha.
Yes, exactly. So it doesn't have very deep meaning. They are just numbers.
Very cool. Thank you.
And
Do you have any other questions?
I noticed when I was doing it as well was that, you were talking about the segments and the roll-ups, but I think sometimes just keeping it at ground level is very interesting as well, because what you find is you get little nuances and variations on themes, and it's because the purpose is free text. So, it's quite open to, the customers to really talk about what the particulars of what they want. So you get quite a broad range that I didn't expect at first. And I think that's really useful as well, because you just get deeper, more meaningful data information to understand, what you should necessarily do.
Yes, and Yes, because it's very open, and as you said, it has a lot of nuances. It's not very easy sometimes to analyze it. And we really spend, because normally it's two of us, so myself and my colleague, Lauren, who is taking care for it. We spend sometimes discussing, is this purpose fitting any of our segments, or maybe there is a new persona and new purpose that we should think about. So we normally have this cluster called so-called other. So these are like single purposes, not fitting any main cluster that we have. But then when we have this cluster other, we can come back to it. So if we deliver our webinar every month, we compare this other cluster webinar after webinar. If we see some repetitive pattern, so out of this other, we can create a new cluster or new market segments. So at the beginning, this is difficult, but like with everything, if you do more and more and more of this, you start to see more patterns, and it becomes much more intuitive and much easier after some time. So I always repeat, you know, I learned Latin for a few years, for 10 years almost. So there is a Latin proverb which says that the most difficult part is to start. So if you take the first step, you already did 50% of your work. So take the first step, and then it will be much easier. But you know, with Fit for Purpose, it's like with Kanban. Sometimes, so you don't believe it's working until you start doing it, and you will see a huge difference.
I actually have also a question, but I just wanted to ask, does anybody else have questions?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I would like to put myself in the shoes of Agilists that haven't heard about Kanban before.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be interested. I think most of them are doing some kind of stuff with personas. I think that is not new. And some kind of trying to actually really work with the real customers. I have seen it work, not in many organizations. Many know about it, but the actual doing it is really difficult.
Yes.
What can we learn from Kanban that makes a difference?
About personas? So this goal direct design, this is what you mean?
About actually making products and services fit for purpose.
Okay. Okay, so just one comment to personas. Yes, this is difficult again, yes, because the personas are not very intuitive, because it's very, you have this temptation to cluster your customers by demographics. And it's easy, and this is something what we do like a reflex. And creating personas requires you to look at your customers from another angle. And it's difficult to keep this discipline in your head to not look at them from demographic perspective. But it was just a comment to personas. About the Kanban, so let me quickly come back to the beginning. So for those of you who were a month earlier, I talked a lot about this poster. So I'm not sure how many people knew we have here, but for these new people, just very shortly. So there is a Kanban Maturity Model, which describes the maturity of an organization from 0 to 6. So we have 7 levels of maturity organization, of the organizational maturity. And level 0 is the level which we call oblivious. So this is the situation when there is no even the concept of a team. So this is just a group of individuals working together or not. No one really cares. So they're just single people doing their tasks, and that's it. The concept of customer, who cares? Is there any
do you tell that to the organization you're rating? You guys are oblivious.
And actually, you know, this is very difficult for this organization, because this is what I heard from Todd Little, so director of Kanban University. And what he told, I think it will stay with me forever. The most difficult for oblivious organization is to realize that you are oblivious. When they get it, it's much easier.
Nice.
Then level 1, this is the moment when concept of the team appears. So there is a group of people at least who try to do something together, but still no customer. And then the concept of customer starts to appear on level 2. So we have this group of people who somehow organize their work, and they finally start to realize that there is someone who wants something from them, and this someone pays actually. So it may sound very strange, but there are organizations, and I worked in this kind of organization, which are normally very huge, and people who are doing like the very basic tasks, like building some elements of the products, are just doing the tasks. They are not focusing too much on the customer. The one who focuses on the customer is maybe product manager, maybe sometimes product owner, but not always. And maybe people who are sitting on the phone and they need to listen to angry customers, yeah? Or people who are responsible for the revenue of the company. But there is a group of people who are just doing their tasks over 8 hours, and they don't care who the customer is. So when you start to realize that there is a customer, and actually we should fill in the needs of the customer, we start talking about maturity level 2. But if we think about the maturity levels from the pizza perspective, pizza restaurant perspective, at maturity level 0, there are just people who are doing pizza and they don't even care whether someone is going to buy this pizza or not. At level 1, we still don't care about the client, but there is 3 of us doing the pizza. At maturity level 2, we see, oh, there is a customer, and customer would like to receive pizza with ham and pineapple, but we delivered quattro formaggi. So yes, there is customer, the customer wants pizza, but not necessarily this is the pizza that we provided to him or her. At maturity level 3, which we called fit for purpose, if customer orders pizza with ham and pineapple, he receives pizza with ham and pineapple. And this is crispy, this is hot, and this is exactly as they ordered. So the way Kanban helps you to be fit for purpose, on one hand, at these lower levels, it helps you to understand what is your process, to visualize this process, and to start understanding your delivery better. And when you become more and more mature, then you start asking yourself what my customer really wants. And this is where Kanban starts using the fit-for-purpose framework, because fit-for-purpose delivers you the way to identify the customer needs. I'm not sure, Suka, whether it answers your question or not.
I'm not sure. I would be interested to find out from some agilists, because I think it is actually really a tricky thingy. And I think many actually, they start maybe with the personas kind of when they are at level 0, you know? And
yes.
They are aware it matters. And
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean. But here I would need to refer again back to the previous webinar. So I talked about overreaching as one of the failure modes. So I would say that if you are maturity level 0 or 1, you still can do personas. You still can apply fit for purpose card, but at this level, it may still not be very actionable. Because even if you understand what your customer wants, your service delivery is a mess. So, okay, I know that my customer wants pizza, quattro formaggi pizza, but I don't know how to do it.
Mm.
So, and yeah, this is the classical problem of overreaching, where we started doing too much too early.
Mm.
And if we realize it, that's okay. I would say that's okay. But if we don't realize it and we just don't see the immediate results of our actions, which are still good, because it's good to know your customer purpose. It's good to create personas. But if we don't know why it's not working, the normal reaction is that Kanban is not working. Fit for purpose is not working. And it's not a problem about the method, and it's not a problem about the framework. Whatever it is it Kanban, Scrum, Fit for Purpose, Nexus, XP, whatever you use, even waterfall. It's not the problem of the method. It's the problem of the process that we try to solve.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Thank you.
So, Anya, how do you know when you've gone? Hi, it's Anthony.
Hi. I
know I missed the talk. I'll watch the video. If you say it was in the talk, then I'll be quiet and just go, oh, fine, I'll go, what's the vid? How do you know when you've overreached before you actually get blowback? Like, what's the, when you're looking at it, going, how do you know you've overreached before it blows up in your face? I know if it blows up in your face, it's all right, it's happened, but earlier, yeah.
You know, because I'm thinking because my quick answer is the experience, but I know it doesn't help a lot. So I would recommend, to use the Kanban resources, because, you know, I'm going to talk to you about Kanban because this is what I know. I'm not expert in the other methods. So there is, again, something what I have on the wall, which is here. This is practice map. So this poster, and I can show it to you actually, just give me a second. So this is our KMN Plus. And here is this poster. So here on this poster, which we call the practice map, you have all maturity levels from 0 to 6. And you have our 6 general practices. So visualize, limit work in progress, manage flow, make policies explicit, feedback loops, and improve collaboratively. And now what happens is that when you enter the organization or you are in the organization and you start to think about it, you may see some practices, some patterns implemented. And I will just give you the example that I meet the most often. I enter the organization and they say, we would like to be more predictable, we would like to deliver on time. Okay, fair enough. So I start asking them, what is your process and how do you measure your process? And how do you prioritize? How do you plan your work? Yeah? Very basic set of questions. And then they say, oh, you know, we are using Monte Carlo simulation. Okay. Can you give me the results of your lead time analysis? And they ask me, what is lead time? So we have the practice, which is Monte Carlo simulation, which is very good, very useful practice. But these people don't know what is lead time of their product, of their delivery. So how can you use Monte Carlo simulation if you don't know what is your lead time? And I saw it already a few times, so that's why this is an example I very often use. Or something else. You may have beautiful Kanban board with sticky notes, like in the old times, yeah, whiteboard, sticky notes, colorful avatars. Everything is just perfect. You know, you make a picture and you put it to Wikipedia. And then you start talking to these people and you realize that they have no feedback loops. They don't talk to each other. And this Kanban board was designed 2 months ago and it didn't change. So again, they implemented practices in the organization which is not ready for these practices. So there are 2 different situations. So the Monte Carlo, the first one I used, this is just overreaching in terms of the practices themselves. So they use the more advanced practices for which they are simply not ready yet because they don't have the basis for it. The second example I used is the mismatch between the practices and the culture. Because if you have the practices, but you don't have the culture in the organization which will help you to practice these practices, then they are not going to stick. And this is another problem that we observe. So if you even look at this poster, I will come back to it, but here you have the column which is called cultural values. And at each level, there are some values that we have to observe to be able that practices will stick. So at maturity level 0, we have the value of achievements, which is very, very basic, and it can be represented by your done column. So people are happy that they did something, and that's enough at maturity level 0. But if you want to go to maturity level 1, you need to have collaboration, because having a team assumes some kind of collaboration. Yeah, you need to have transparency, because you need to see what's going on. You need to have at least one person who takes initiative to change something. Without these values, even if you have beautiful Kanban board, a set of feedback loops, and your Monte Carlo simulation, you won't go too far, and you will end up saying that Kanban doesn't work.
Yeah, okay. This is the X plus Y plus Z is what it takes to make it stick.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have overreached, you'll know that you've gone somewhere where you don't have X plus Y plus Z at that level. No,
Yes.
That makes sense to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anna. If people are interested in these cards, can you find them online?
You mean the posters?
Yeah. No, the cards, sorry.
The Fit-for-purpose card. No, you need to design it by yourself. We don't have it yet.
Cool.
Yes, we see the need in the market for this card, but right now you just need to take the presentation from the webinar and you can copy paste it and use it.
Cool.
Bummer, it's the one I'm not sure I need to go through. I'm not sure if I took a screenshot for the link. I'll see. Cool.
You want to take a screenshot? I can come back quickly.
Oh, we're still here.
This one should be fine. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's one of Alexi's. So you could probably, if you look at these blogs, they're probably on there somewhere. It wouldn't surprise me if you could find
somewhere when you Google it.
Yes. Also at sorry, I'm jumping back and forth, but here at DJA, one moment, at blog, I wrote about it for sure. Just let me find it. Yeah, by the way, here is the article, The Need for Fit-for-Purpose from Lauren, about the Fit-for-Purpose. And where is mine? Oh my God, I cannot find it right now, but I will find the link. I will send the link to Silke, okay? And she will share it with you. So I wrote the link about using Fit-for-Purpose cards. So you may find this, you may find it useful. Article, not link.
Awesome, thank you so much. Oh, there's something coming from. Sorry, I'm unable to pronounce this name.
Oh yes, Krzysiek, thank you very much. Yes, this is the article. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you. Got it. Awesome. That was a really good Really good session again. Thank you so much, Anna, for swinging over to our side of the planet.
Thank you. Not sure what time it is there, but we appreciate that you're, up.
It's really nice. It's 9 a.m. So you are very convenient for me. Recently I did the talk for US, and it was 4 a.m.
Wow.
So you are very convenient in terms of timing. So I can do more if you just want me.
It's actually working really well in winter, like in New Zealand, Australia winter, in Europe summer, and when it's it's getting a bit
Oh, when it's the other way, yes, it's not great, because we're so far ahead of the rest of the world at that stage, time zone wise. Not
cool. I stopped the recording now, by the way.
Cool. Now you can tell us what you really think. Dan's laughing silent.